Welcome Industrial Knowledge. So today our topic is Sabic Confined Space Entry Work Permit. So let's get started. You can see in the picture Confined Space Entry Work Permit. Confined Space Entry Permit. Introduction. What is confined space? Examples of confined space. Important definition. Hazards of confined space. Preparation for confined space entry. Ventilation equipment used inside confined space. Responsibilities. Personal protective equipment for confined space. Every year, thousands of workers are injured or killed in confined spaces. Accidents in confined spaces require immediate action, as lives may be lost in minutes. Ignorance, lack of knowledge or overconfidence is usually the cause of such accidents. Most confined space accidents can be prevented by knowing the hazards of the confined space, learning how to detect and deal with these hazards by using established safety procedures for work in confined space. What is confined space? Is large enough and so configured that an employee can enter bodily and perform work. Has limited or restricted means of entry or exit. Is not designed for continuous human availability, occupancy. What is a confined space entry permit? A confined space entry permit is required to enter any confined space, which includes vessels, tanks, furnaces, columns, reactors, boilers, pipelines, storage bins, open-top containers, manholes, pits and excavation that have a depth of 1.2 meter or deeper. This procedure is prepared to protect personnel from oxygen deficiency, toxic materials, flammable substances, energy or movable parts of power-driven equipment. Examples of confined space. See in picture. Important definition. Entrant. Any person who enters the vessel. Entry is the insertion of the man head or any part of the body into a confined space. Asphyxiant. A vapor or gas that can cause feel uneasy, unconsciousness, or death by lack of oxygen, suffocation. Nitrogen gas. SCABA. Self-contained breathing apparatus. A positive pressure respirator in which the supply of air is carried by the wearer. Ventilation. Ventilation systems shall be designed to sweep air effectively through the confined space, providing a continuous purge of fresh air. Airline respirator. A respirator that is connected to a compressed breathing air source by a hose. Rescue man. An individual trained, qualified, nominated and certified in rescue responsibilities, confined space hazards, and emergency procedures who has been assigned to remain at the outside of the confined space. Standby man. An individual, either from operations, maintenance or contractor who is trained, qualified and certified by respective department senior manager and concerned department to attendant confined space hazards and emergency procedures, stay and watch outside the confined space, guard against unauthorized entry, maintain communication with and monitor the authorized entrance inside. Hazards of confined space. Lack of oxygen can be caused by rusting, contaminated air, or the buildup of other gases. Any other gas can displace oxygen and cause lack of oxygen, suffocation. Lack of oxygen can cause a worker to collapse almost rapidly. Oxygen deficiency less than 19.5% oxygen concentration. Toxic gases or vapors. Toxic gases can irritate skin, eyes, nose and throat. Some toxic gases are very dangerous because they cannot be detected by sight or smell. Toxic gases or vapors can be poison or lack of oxygen, suffocate, to workers inside the confined space. Combustion. Gases and vapors can be formed by scale or residue inside the confined space, by solvents used for cleaning, decomposition of organic materials, etc. A spark, open flame or static electricity can cause flammable gases or vapors to ignite or explode. A buildup of flammable gases or vapors can burn or explode. Other hazards. Heat, which can cause heat stress, cramps. Noise, which interfere with communication. Mechanical equipment which can cause sparks and physical injury. Preparation for confined space entry. Operations supervisor is responsible to lead and ensure the following tasks as preparation for entry by using relevant SOP. Draining, depressuring, flushing, washing, cleaning, steaming, isolation, blinding, ventilating. Number 14. Gas testing, initial and frequency. Isolation involves either disconnecting lines and installing blind flanges on the open pipe flanges, as close as possible to the equipment, or installing blind flanges in the pipes themselves. Electrical lockout involves locking out any electrically operated equipment connected to or associated with the vessel or confined space. Purging, which moves a hazardous gas or vapor, such as nitrogen followed by air. Steaming, which is removal of hazardous materials using steam. Flushing, which moves hazardous materials to a safe location using non-hazardous materials, such as water. Ventilation, which displaces a possible hazardous atmosphere with air. Gas test, toxic within, TLV, range, LEL 0%, oxygen should be normal 20.8%, retest frequently as mentioned. Tools, use the right and correct tools as specified on the WP entry permit. Get entry confined space permit from the issuer standby man, post standby man. Conduct gas test in all cases. The atmosphere inside the confined space must be tested for oxygen deficiency, flammable gases or vapors and/or for toxic materials. Only authorized gas tester shall conduct the gas test and record the results on the work permit. Gas test. The results of the gas test must be entered on the work permit. The frequency required for the gas tests also to be conduct and write the result on the work permit. Hot work activities inside confined space. Following precautions shall be taken during welding activity in confined space. Conduct periodic gas test, ensure adequate ventilation, keep gas cylinders outside the confined space, don't leave unattended gas burning or welding torches inside confined space. Remove gas cylinders from operating area at the end of any work period to safe locations specified in the plant. Use local ventilation for welding activity inside confined space. Don't permit welding or cutting activities in an oxygen-enriched atmosphere. If tests indicate that the oxygen content is greater than 23.5%, use ventilation techniques to reduce the oxygen content to 20.8%. Keep compressed gas cylinders and welding machines outside when welding or cutting is being performed in any confined space. During emergency in confined space entry, following actions shall be taken. If a potentially toxic detected during, after entry, stop all confined space activity and return the work permit to permit issuer. Ask all the entrants to leave the confined space immediately. Standby man will immediately notify personnel, as specified on the confined space entry permit, and the concerned permit issuer. Evacuate the confined space to determine how the hazardous atmosphere developed. Implement measures to eliminate the hazardous atmosphere prior to any subsequent entry. Ventilation in confined space. Stop ventilation, purging at least 15 minutes prior to conducting the gas tests, to allow gas concentration to equalize. The gas test must be repeated if the entry was not done for 30 minutes once the gas test is conducted. Also, gas testing shall be repeated after every work breaks. Type of ventilation: natural ventilation, forced ventilation. Natural ventilation. The use of natural wind by opening man-way. This way is not very sufficient. Forced ventilation. The use of a fan or air mover to move fresh air through a vessel. Comply with the following points for continuous forced air ventilation in confined space. Ensure air supply for the forced air ventilation comes from clean source and should not increase the hazards in the confined space. Use non-sparking, safe, and electrically fused and grounded emulation and discharge of static electricity. Do not use oxygen to ventilate confined spaces. Conditions that could adversely affect air quality include residue hydrocarbon gassing off due to the heat of the day, hydrocarbons trapped inside chunks behind vessel lining, leaking oxygen, acetylene hoses used for hot work, reaction products or fumes from chemicals used for cleaning. Oxygen deficiency due to reaction with rusty steel or scale. Fumes from cutting, welding jobs. You can see in the picture. Equipment used inside confined space. Electrical equipment. The use of portable electrical hand tools or lighting over 24 volts in a confined space is prohibited, or the following requirements shall be met. All electrical tools and lighting devices shall be properly insulated and electrically grounded. All tools and lights must be protected by a ground fault circuit interrupter, GFCI. Tools and other equipment. Pneumatic tools used in confined spaces can only be driven by air. If gas welding or cutting, e.g., oxygen acetylene, is required inside a confined space, only the hoses and torch may be lowered through the manhole. Proper internal and external scaffolding should be erected as required, as not to hamper entrance or exit of confined space. When persons are working in close proximity or overhead of each other, suitable barriers shall be provided. Responsibilities. You will read it. Permit receiver. Check and ensure the following are in place. Prepare the JSA and participate in joint site inspection with operations supervisor and ensure it is documented in the work permit. Fill confined space entry permit. Use proper lighting and air movers, e.g. explosion proof. Confined space entrants are medically and physically fit for the task and they are following the work permit conditions, precautions. Complying with concerned standard maintenance procedure, SMP, or method statement and job safety analysis. Personal protective equipment for confined space. Self-contained BA, a positive pressure respirator in which the supply of air is carried by the wearer. Inline BA, breathing air equipment, a positive pressure respirator available to the wearer via a hose connected to a remote breathing air supply. Safety lines. Lifelines should be strong enough to aid in removal of unconscious victim. All safety lines should be attached properly. Safety harness. Safety harnesses should have quick release devices to allow fast removal in an emergency. Other personal protective equipment. Other PPEs may also be required. Safety hat, to provide protection against falling objects. Goggles, face shield, to protect against dusts, flying particles. Standby man. The employee who is certified as standby man remains outside the confined space and monitors the entrance, guards the space against unauthorized entry, warns the entrance of any unusual conditions, and summons the rescue personnel if needed. You can see